A little message before the video. If you were here live for the Enrique Tarrio show, then you know how it went. If you weren't live, then you're probably going to enjoy this a little bit. So I brought him on because I thought we would have a good discussion. It became evident very early that that was not going to happen. And in truly Ryan fashion, I lost my mind. So luckily I had Ian there to pick up the pieces. I got my jabs in there when I could. You'll notice how disrespectful he is. Sunglasses, smoking a cigarette. Like, he just wanted to piss me off, which was the whole intent. And he succeeded. But yeah, so here's the show. Enjoy. And then make sure you tune in for the response show, because that'll be next. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Hold the Mic. I'm your host, Ryan Shead. This is my co-host, Ian Sherman. Brother, how are you doing?
What up, though?
And as you all can see, we have our guest today, Mr. Enrique Tarrio, the former national chairman of the Proud Boys, who was recently pardoned by Donald Trump after being sentenced to 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy related to the January 6th Capitol attack, serving just under 2 years of that sentence. So welcome to the show, man. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. I know it got started with us taking some pretty nice jabs at each other, so definitely looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. I always say, like, it's healthy to have these conversations, even though they start with tweets back and forth. And again, I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Nice.
It was a lovely cat fight to be on the sidelines and see you two at it. Let me tell you. Again, you guys always claim women are a little more emotional. I'm just saying, for both of you.
I mean, it's Twitter too. So look, I was a Twitter user since 2007. They banned me in 2017. So needless to say, I haven't been on Twitter for 6 or 7 years. So
for a while,
getting my rocks off.
There you go.
All right.
So before we get started though, because we actually do have quite a few listeners in different countries right now. So we wanted to touch on what exactly seditious conspiracy is. And it's an agreement by two or more people to incite hatred or contempt against the state or its institutions, or to promote unlawful means to alter established laws or policies, but it falls short of treason. So for those wondering what exactly he was charged with, that kind of sums it up. So, but we wanted to ask you in your words, how would how he feels be the right way to put it? But like,
how do you feel this whole thing kind of turned out for you, man?
There you go.
So also sedition in the law is a little bit different, right? It's technically an obstruction charge, right? Because the way that the law is actually written is you have to try to stop by the use of force, and it could be a conspiracy, obviously. The function of the federal government, or you try to overthrow the federal government by force. That's like how 18 USC 2384 is written. You can do that by example, like, and I'm not saying that that's what I was accused of, but like, let's say an FBI agent is leaving in his car to go do a raid or something. If I put my hands on his car and I push back on his car, that is the force, and I'm stopping a law from being executed. So that is technically considered sedition. Obviously, that's not what I'm accused of. But your question is, how do I feel about it?
Well, about how this all worked out for you. You being the leader of Proud Boys, and you know.
Let's start off by it worked out great because I'm here now. But it kind of showed. It isn't my first rodeo with the feds, but it obviously showed the power of the federal government when it comes to dealing with political opposition or dissident, right? We're not the first ones to go through this, right? Civil rights leaders obviously went through it, and I'm not in any way comparing myself to civil rights leaders, but it is a tool that they've been using for a very long time. And the way that the justice system, the things that we were taught as kids when we did have civics class, which most schools don't have now, is complete bullshit. It doesn't exist. You know, that justice system where the lady's blind and the scales are even, it doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't exist because people they pick and choose when the justice system is going to apply. And that's really the biggest problem that we see here is
those in power, right?
I mean, yeah, those in powers. I mean, perfect example would be Donald Trump and Elon Musk and everybody saying that we should start impeaching judges because they don't push or agree with Trump's agenda, or they aren't giving him the decisions that he wants. So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly that.
I think the problem also is giving those people, like, obviously you oppose Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and obviously I oppose Biden, Kamala Harris, Soros, and all of that, right? Which I guess it would be the equivalent on the other side. Obviously, I don't
Elon
feel
Musk.
that great, but for the most part,
well, I mean, okay. With that said,
like,
let me ask you this question: what is it about a literal convicted felon, prolific business fraud, an adjudicated rapist, and accused pedophile that you think is better than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, for that matter?
I'll tell you what, we had 4 years of Kamala Harris and we had 4 years of
Kamala Harris, dude. Can you not say her name right?
Another thing, I speak Spanish, so that's how we pronounce it.
Well, that's not how she pronounces it, so maybe you should learn how to say it.
I really don't care how she pronounces it. That's how I pronounce
no, I know
it.
you guys don't. You guys don't have any kind of respect for anybody, how they want to identify their names.
You're kind of right. I don't have any respect for them. They tried to put me. Look,
so let me ask you this then. So why do you want to come onto my show and expect us to show you respect when you can't even show anybody else respect?
Well, I'm showing you respect. I don't have to respect.
Well, but you're not. But you just said you don't care and you don't respect anybody. So I would assume that implies to me, especially if it doesn't apply to somebody like Kamala Harris, a former AG, somebody who worked her way up from the bottom on, like Donald Trump or anybody that you support. So again, why a rapist and a pedophile and a felon over her? I'm really just wondering.
Ridiculous.
What is?
So check this out. We had 4 years of Harris. We had 4 years of Biden.
Yeah, and you're seeing the 4 years of Trump inflation rate to speak for it.
He's only been here for 2 months, so let's just
exactly. So the inflation rate has nothing to do with him. Thank you for pointing that out.
So 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Kamala Harris.
You had 4 years of Biden. You never had 4 years of Kamala Harris.
You had 4 years of Kamala Harris.
No, you didn't.
Yes, you did.
You had 4 years of Biden. It was never her agenda.
He didn't do anything.
So again, you're spitting bullshit.
People actually spoke in November, and they voted against it.
Go ahead, Ian, take it.
Just in general with that, with what you're saying is that, you're insinuating that Kamala was actually in control where Biden was a corpse, practically, right?
I mean, he was a corpse. I mean, we saw that. We don't have to guess. We saw that for years and years and years, and we saw it on the debate stage.
Okay. I mean, I'll give you that he was old.
You disagree?
I'm not even trusting that. That means nothing to me. It's a past 4 years. But with that, you're talking about it from a standpoint. I'm in New York, so we know that Trump is no longer the same Trump. He's an old man. He literally equally is right there. He just has higher energy, and you could tell that there is a mental decline that's happening right now and unfolding in front of all of us, where we're watching him really just ramble and babble and losing. And he calls it a weave because he only knows how to, stick and move like a New Yorker does. But when we're watching the decline happen, do you or can you agree that Trump is declining and he's not the same as 4 or 8 years ago?
I can agree that he's definitely not the same as 4 years ago. I think the guy is a lot more electric in this new term than he is in the past 4 years. I think he's done more good in these 2 months than he did in the previous 4 years. I think he learned a lot, and something that
So what good has
he
done?
God for is that stolen election in 2020.
What good has he done?
I mean, if you want
to name policy is what pretty much the question would be. Well,
I'm gonna be dead honest with you guys. I just got out of prison, right? I'm a news junkie, and I took a look, and I don't go in.
This sounds like a lot of bullshit. You're saying I don't have anything specifically that I can give you.
Can I finish?
No, because you're bullshit. You're talking fucking right. We're just going to let him fucking talk circles and not answer the fucking question? It's a simple question. Give me one fucking thing that Donald Trump has fucking done besides fucking rape women and shit. Come on.
I mean, you don't got to be a little faggot about it. Just let me finish.
Ooh, little faggot. Ooh, there you go. Good one, buddy. You can't answer a fucking question. Now you want to call me a faggot.
The question is, what policies that you were in prison reading that Trump is doing that you agree
I was
with?
In prison when Trump was elected. Within less than 12 hours, I was outside of prison.
Okay, so when you were not in the box cuffs and going around, there was no news being talked about. You guys were pretty much in solitary confinement, and for the most part, You got out and did you decompress from news, or are you now engulfing in news?
I'm decompressing from news, but I could tell you when it comes to border crossings, the DEI, negotiating ceasefires with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, not being as close to World War III as we were for the 4 years of Biden.
Okay.
And
when you're talking about border crossing,
he appointed Musk to dismantle the frivolous government spending. I mean, it's been an amazing 2 months.
Just with the points that you just touched on, you're talking about the border. We just wasted 16 million by sending 40 people to Guantanamo Bay who are back in America.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a waste. 16 million. When you're talking about Doge, we just spent 636 billion in the last February, just passed. And if you look at last year when Biden was in, that's 36 more than what he spent. So what is Doge actually saving?
Well, I'll tell you what Doge has saved is $115 billion in tax savings. That's on its own.
That seems like a trust me, bro policy. You got
the whole, you got USAID. I mean, again, if we want to talk about policy again,
USAID, everybody just got put back in their job by the judges, who I know you have an issue with judges.
I mean, judicial coups are just as bad, dude. You know, and you see these activist judges going down.
So you're against Donald Trump trying to impeach judges, then, right?
Listen, I don't think the impeachment thing works. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the impeachment.
That's not the question. You're against Donald Trump trying to impeach judges and do exactly what you just said, right?
At least your buddy over here has some decency. So,
well, no, I don't have decency. I don't respect you at all. Just like you don't respect anybody else. You can't even say Kamala Harris's name right.
I don't respect you. That's why I actually.
I know you don't.
But here's the thing. I'm not worried about names because Henry, I believe, is your birth name, but you chose to go by Enrique.
No, actually, it's that reverse. My birth name was Enrique. When I was in middle school, I changed it to Henry, and then I went back to Enrique. So on my birth certificate, it is Enrique Tarrio.
It's Enrique Tarrio. And you don't want to be called by anything else but Enrique Tarrio.
You can call me Henry Enrique. If you could mispronounce it if you want, I have no problem.
It doesn't mean it's a name. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is looking at how this all played out. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was you were not in DC when the shit went down.
No.
You were in Baltimore in a hotel, correct?
Yes, I was.
My biggest thing about this is that you were handed a document, 1776 return document.
I wouldn't say handed, but yeah,
This was passed into your direction.
It was passed into my direction, yes.
Okay. That was passed by Erica Flores. Is that her name?
That is correct.
Are you guys still close?
No.
Okay. Because she's the what, crypto queen or whatever in Miami?
I believe that's what they call her, yes.
Okay. So that's who she is today. She doesn't know where she got that document?
Actually, we all know where the document came from. So we'll start with how that document got in my hands. And it never actually got in my hands. And
so a digital copy that you pass around to the boys.
A digital copy was never passed around. It was a message. It was an unread message. And I never opened the document. That's even the FBI forensics expert at our trial testified to that. It was in my phone, sent to me, similar to, like, let's say I send you that 1776 document to your email and you never open it. So it was never passed around. Another thing, the document itself is not very, it sounds nefarious. You know, the name sounds horrible, but the document itself is basically how to stage a sit-in, which we see from my Democrat counterparts all the time. I should have been exonerated just for that, because there's no way in hell that my guys, if I tell my guys that we're going to do a sit-in, they would never agree to do a sit-in because it's cringe and it's just not effective.
I mean, a bunch of boys who listen to a Broadway play that they named themselves after is cringe for a sit-in.
Touche.
One of the biggest things that I think about this is that this document came to you or whatever, it came into your atmosphere and then it got passed around.
Yeah.
This document gave a play-by-play of what the tactics would be. But why was it held against you so closely?
Do you have a copy of that document, by the way?
I do not have it. Erica did not send it to me.
Play to do a sit-in just sounds, you're putting too much umph into it. It basically shows how to go into a building, sit down, and wait for the cops to come to arrest you. Now, the document itself started as a war game in Langley, Virginia, at the headquarters of the CIA, as a war game. The person that handed this document, I'm sorry?
I thought you just said you never read it.
No, I never read it until I got to trial. Obviously, I read it after trial because that's what they used to indict me. So the document itself was a war game from the CIA. This isn't no QAnon level shit. That's exactly how it worked.
Okay.
And then it was given to Erica Flores, and that person told her, "You need to give this to Enrique before January 6th." And it
Is
was
that
sent to
Samuel
me.
or is that somebody else? The person who
Samuel
gave it to
Arms. That is correct.
her. Okay.
Samuel Arms. And when it was sent to me, I never opened the Telegram message. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they sent me that document about 2-3 days before I got arrested on January 4th, and my phone
Right.
was taken from me and it was frozen in time. So at the time, I had no access to it all the way up to January 6th. So I couldn't share it. I couldn't give it to anybody. And honestly, after reading it, it's a pretty stupid plan.
But if it's in Telegram, everybody has access to it because it's a group chat. So if it's there, it's in there.
Yeah, if it's there, yes. And like WhatsApp, if you see something, it has a double check. So I didn't even read it. I didn't see it. I didn't open it. And again, that was confirmed by even the US government at the time. One thing that they didn't do is when they went to go to get the grand jury indictment on me, is they showed that document to the grand jury, but they never told them that that document wasn't opened by me. They just said, "Hey, this was on his phone." And that is why I got indicted to begin with. That is the only piece of evidence that they had against me at the time of the grand jury indictment, which led to my arrest.
So how can you take us through a roadmap of how you guys go from meeting together, okay, for example, Gavin as a 46-year-old who created Vice Media, creates
Yes.
Proud Boys. He starts getting his cage rattled where people are talking about what the Proud Boys are. The fact that it has this stain of being a white nationalist group, hate group, definitely aggressive in the streets. There's talk of the Ministry of Self-Defense that's built in there. That's, I believe, came after you. You put that in.
I created the Ministry of Self-Defense.
Okay, and then Gavin stepping down and you taking over. Are you and Gavin still close?
I wouldn't say close, but we talk. We've never actually been close, but we talk.
Got it. Because you're the Miami branch, and then you kind of just took over all the real estate, pretty much.
I got voted in after he stepped down. Yes.
Okay. How do the Proud Boys come from being a bar hub, like Crawl, Broadway musical, singing along, to January 6th? Can you take us on a journey for that?
So to take you on a journey on what the Proud Boys, how they started, it was started as a joke. It wasn't supposed to go past that one night at the bar. He was trying to get his intern laid. Still never worked. He was a 25-year-old virgin. I don't know what his status is now, but he did it on a Friday, and then on Monday.
And that's here in New York City.
That is in New York City. That's at Sullivan's. I don't know if you're familiar with the bar.
I've seen it.
After that, it kind of grew wings because he kind of just said, "Hey, you guys should do this too across the country," and we kind of did. I started when I started in the Miami chapter. There was only 3 people. It was at that point only a drinking club, right? And then we saw these left-wing activists called Antifa and BLM in the streets assaulting Trump supporters, and then we kind of got in the middle between them and these groups, and we protected Trump supporters. So, but I'd say that 90% of my membership has never been to a rally. They've never done security for a rally. All they've done is the most political thing that they've done.
Right? Security. Security is your background.
Yes, I was a DoD contractor for 12 years of my life.
Okay.
So when I took the reins, obviously I'm very political. So we moved in a more political direction at the time.
Yeah.
And we continued to do so all throughout. Probably till like about 2022. I think after the arrest, the guys kind of stopped doing the rallies because they were afraid of obviously getting hemmed up in anything. They saw me, that I wasn't even present on January 6th, get arrested. So that kind of slowed down. They still, during that time, they still protested Drag Queen Story Hour, and they still got into the school board stuff, and they still got elected to local office. And they're still doing so today. So that transition through time, it depends on what's going on in the culture. We're not a political group. We don't care what race you are. We don't care what your culture is, what your religion is. We don't care about that.
I tried just to step in. I want to hear more about that, because every single person that I would talk to would tell me that they were not a racist group because they have a black guy who's running it. That was you.
I mean,
and I would always look at this.
If that was the only thing that they said, but yeah, go ahead.
I would look at this. I mean, but this is how the perspective is outside, right? From whatever you guys are doing, from drinking club to the fights, which I want to remind you that most of America was Antifa back in World War II, being that it's anti-fascist.
I could disagree with that.
Well, I mean, that's what we did. We
The
fought.
name anti-fascist. I can vibe with that. I don't like fascists. I don't like communists. I don't like any ist that has to do with authority. But the name itself, if you're anti-fascist and you're sitting in the streets and you're throwing bricks at people that are just
Nazis,
are just
much like in Ohio just recently.
Look, that were there. I agree with you. I dislike fucking people in the streets with swastika flags or communist flags. I dislike it myself, but I respect their ability to practice their First Amendment. Right.
So if you do feel that way,
when they start throwing bricks, or in some cases get slingshots with ball bearings, or burn down Tesla dealers, that
if you
goes
do
to
feel
another
though
level.
about First Amendment, then I've heard you in past interviews talk about your dislike for drag queen story hour.
Yes,
which to me, if you don't like it, just walk away. I mean, I don't know what other way to put yourself in that situation than to, unless you're forcing yourself to watch it. If there's something that's there. But what is it that's the dislike of somebody else having their First Amendment right?
Well,
to
that's
do
fine,
that?
but I could protest those events as long as I'm not throwing bricks at them. I go back to the bricks because we actually had one of our members get hit by a brick in the mouth and shatter his jaw.
But there were members of Proud Boys that were at Charlottesville.
What? I'm sorry.
There were Proud Boy members. I know that Proud
I
Boy
myself
was not.
I myself was at Charlottesville.
You were there. We're under the Proud Boy umbrella?
No. So I went there to record. I had my camera equipment. I was recording. I was actually planning on going to attend the protest. Then I saw the kinds of people that were going, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go. And then a gig came up where they paid me to record. And I went over there and I got some of my camera equipment screwed up. Funny by the same people that were wearing the khakis and white shirts.
Right. Those are called
neo-Nazis. I could,
the tiki torches.
Yeah. Well, I didn't attend the tiki torch event. But for the most part, yes, I was there and I saw disgust on both sides. I saw the police sit back idly. I seen people try to stab each other with a police officer about 10 feet away, and the cop didn't even get involved. I got called the N-word by a woman on the left side, just about 5 minutes before she passed. Her name was Heather Hare, and she called me an N-word and she called me a coon.
Well, I highly doubt that.
I got it on
I wasn't
video.
there.
And
you have it on video?
I'll send you guys the video. I promise you that she did call me. Yes, I will send it to you.
So my question is, if you're so about pro First Amendment and you think that the Nazis should be able to fly their flags, then why did you rip a Black Lives Matter flag off a church? If you're so pro First Amendment.
I did not rip it off a church, and I would never advocate for anybody to rip anything off a church. I saw a Black Lives Matter sign on the ground and I burned it.
So the thing that I
was
got
also in the court transcripts when
so you went to jail for how many months for that?
For
just burning a sign that was already on the ground?
5 months. Yeah. Welcome to DC.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would expect that if you're going to DC. You should know it's the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That it's going to be a little bit more.
There are pretty strict. The laws there are pretty strict.
It's not, you're not going to be in backwoods of Virginia. You're not going to be in any of these areas that are rural.
I mean, would you agree? I think you would agree with me. Look, as distasteful as I find somebody burning an American flag, right? You would agree that's protected speech, right? In the Supreme Court, actually. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that, yeah, if it's your own flag. Yes. If you purchased it and you brought it and you put it on the ground and you burned it. Yeah, absolutely. So but if you ripped it off someone's floor, or, if you ripped off someone's home and then threw it on the ground,
you shouldn't rip anything off. I think everybody could agree here. You shouldn't rip anything off of people's property, including the church.
I find it interesting that this church, there's a historical Black church that was vandalized. Yes. What they have you for. Mm-hmm. They won the title, Proud Boys. They now own the copyright.
They did not win the title.
So
let me clear the air a little bit.
Royalties on Proud Boys.
Let's clear the air a little bit on that, because when you read up on it, that banner that I burned
Yes.
did not come from the AME church that you're talking about. Those are two separate instances. The banner that I burned came from what's called the Asbury Church. Again, I say I didn't know it came off a church. The banner said Black Lives Matter, and in the very corner it said asbury.com. It didn't have any markings besides that. And then there was another banner that was ripped off of Black Lives Matter that came off the AME church, and that's the one that I got sued for, along with the Proud Boys. But the interesting story is the next story that you asked is about the lawsuit. So
that's correct. Yeah.
yes. So that lawsuit, we never really owned our own trademark. And actually, a left-wing group out of California was the ones that took that trademark. So the judge physically took it away from that group and gave it to the church. Now, we are not a very organized organization. So there's nothing, absolutely nothing that church can do to us. When it comes to the name, they can't take down anything. They can't take down, we don't sell Proud Boys merchandise to the public.
Okay.
Right? We give it to our members
by raising funds to buy shirts made, whatever.
Well, no, we have different members that own t-shirt shops, and they print the shirts and they give away the shirts to some members, but we never sell it. So the problem would be, I guess, in selling it. So
that's usually where the copyright
does
comes
this lawsuit
in.
and the trademark, them taking the trademark affects us at all? Absolutely not.
So you guys cannot be given a cease and desist letter because you guys do not actually own the copyright of this brand.
We've never really owned. What ended up happening with that is our old attorney, he created a corporation called, I think it was Proud Boys International LLC, and he put the trademark under that name, and then we said that we don't want the trademark, leave it to the public and let somebody else take it. And they did, and a left-wing group took it, and the judge took it from that left-wing group.
How did you guys pick that name from a gay Jew who wrote that song for Aladdin's musical?
So everything in our organization is really just like, it's about funny, right? So Proud Boys is, like you said, it came from a Aladdin musical, and if you've ever heard it, it is kind of gay. And then we say Uhuru, which is Swahili for freedom, and we took that from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement that's out of Tampa, and it's a guy who runs it is, if I'm not mistaken, he is a handicapped transsexual African American that pushes for communism. So everything that we pick up, the punching each other till you name 5 breakfast cereals, we don't take ourselves as seriously as the public takes us. We actually enjoy the brotherhood because it's funny. Obviously, a lot of people take it a little bit too seriously, like Ryan over there that's been quiet for such a long time.
Because
for the most part,
because you're just lying about so much shit. It's like,
what am I
I
lying
would be
about?
fact checking you the whole time.
No, but go ahead.
Ryan does have an outline. I think that Ryan does have some questions because there is an outline that we have.
I mean, honestly, I think the only thing at this point I'm really interested in talking to you about is the Ashli Babbitt thing. I think everything else is bullshit at this point. So, you got anything else, Ian? I mean,
yeah.
Jeannie Thomas.
My biggest thing is that when I look at your record, when I look at everything that happened, and I look at January 6th and everybody who was prosecuted.
Yes.
You know, you can say that the system is blind and everything, but
I never said
part of you. Well, I know you did not. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
No, you're here, so I don't have to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I looked at this is that when I looked at the convictions, you have Jessica Watkins got 8.5. Dominic, he got 10. Thomas, he got 10 for assaulting a police officer. Yes. DJ Rodriguez, 12, assaulting a police officer. Kelly Meggs, 12. That was for the same as you. Peter Schwartz, he got 14, and that was for assaulting a police officer.
Yes.
Zachary, he got 15. Joseph Biggs, 17. Stuart Rhodes, 18. You, 22 years.
Ethan Nordine, 18. And then you had David Dempsey at 20, and then me at 22 years.
You had 22.
Yes.
You're the only brother on here that got the most time.
I won't disagree with you there. The brother got more time than anybody. But I also there is a difference between I guess if you want to compare apples to apples, Stuart Rhodes and me, I guess we're at the same level, but I do have a criminal record. That's what gave me the extra 4 years. And
but you being an FBI informant didn't give you good behavior?
No, that wasn't that issue was in 2013. That had
I know that was, but it's still
you don't get good behavior at that point. No. It's for the case that's at hand.
Only for that situation.
Yes.
I find it interesting because I'm sitting here listening to you, and there are parts that are long-winded in your answers, and some of it does feel like fluff, to be honest.
Which one? You could fact check me as I go. Which part?
Some of it I have. Some of it I have. And I listened to some of your past interviews. Yes. And I definitely put some of your answers through AI to see what's going on. Okay. And it was interesting what came out of it, because you did a show when you first got out, a conservative network. You were very comfortable with this lady talking about it. And you said that there was no FBI informants that actually went to your trial, when there was less than 15 that showed up to talk about your case, to actually put you in jail.
No,
and then
that's incorrect.
When from your case,
that's the problem. When there wasn't any FBI informants, we called the FBI informants. The prosecutors did not call any, because all of the ones that they had said that there was no plan. So they didn't want to bring that up in front of jury trial. So what we did is, you're not going to bring them, we'll bring them. And we actually brought one. And one of those FBI informants is a professional informant. By professional, I mean he's been doing it for 10 years and he infiltrates groups. And this gentleman, after saying that he did not see any plan to storm the Capitol, he was a person that was key to a certain breach that happened. And he physically stopped a gate from closing while the police officers were trying to close it. And this person was paid to do that. And he was informing while he was there. So if you check the records on that, there's absolutely not one FBI informant that was an informant at the time that came to trial on the prosecutor's side.
I find it interesting that I found that differently in your case. But also Jeremy testified against you.
Yes.
Are you guys still friends?
Absolutely not. Now, Jeremy got interviewed by the FBI 3 times.
Yeah.
When he got arrested, he waited a little bit, like 2 or 3 weeks, and he went into an interview with the FBI, and he said that there was absolutely no plan to storm the Capitol at all.
Yeah.
The second interview, he said the same thing. On the second one, we had a superseding indictment for sedition, which carries a 20-year sentence. On the third one, he changed his story completely. So when we brought him on the stand, that's exactly what he said. He said that he had to change his story. Obviously, he's not going to say that he changed his story because of the pressure. He said that he changed his story because he felt like he had to say the truth.
Right.
No, when you tighten somebody's screws and you tell them, I'm going to give you fucking 20 years, right? They think about themselves, right? They don't think about anybody else. And they
always find the weakest one in there, which we all know.
I'm sorry?
They always find the weakest one, which we all know.
Yes. And they
make them crack.
Yeah. And like, I'm not blind to this. This happens to non-political people all the time. That's how the government makes these cases. That's how they create a conspiracy. I believe that there shouldn't be a conspiracy laws in the United States, period. I think that whether it's they have this thing called ghost dope. I don't know if you ever heard about it. And you don't have to, the dope never has to exist. Right. So if your buddy is trying to sell 10 kilos of meth, and you happen to take him, and you're taking him to take this deal, but he doesn't have the meth yet, you're charged with 10 kilograms of of meth that never existed.
Right. Well, it was only in theory, but it's there. Yeah. But this is the thing where, you have to look back at our history where we had a civil war. And so these laws are in place for a reason. So when you're looking at an uprising, because you honestly do believe that the election was stolen in 2020, even though it went through the system, it had federal and state judges who dismissed more than 50 of those cases. 14 of those were withdrawn from Trump himself, his crew, his lawyers. So when you're looking at the legal side of this, that it went through the courts and it kept failing left and right, and the only people who sat here believing were you, a vampire that looked like Count Chocula, who had the dripping sideburns in front of a lawn store. You had all the people in Georgia who really tried to lean on this, but it was none of the people who actually were serious. And you're right about taking you serious or taking people serious. I think it's actually the opposite. People on the left don't take you guys serious because we watched how you guys fumbled the ball every step of the way legally, but we were very interested to see how you guys physically showed up. And I actually want to give you a lot of credit because you said that you guys are just a whole bunch of just kind of rowdy guys who just kind of aimlessly do whatever. But you literally brought that many people. You reached out to your crew, reached out to your ranks. You brought everybody to DC. You guys brought that whole movement of Stop the Steal. I don't know if you believe in fate. I don't know if that black church actually saved you from a worse situation. I don't know if they would have pegged you.
Well, they didn't.
I think that was the day that you found out that you were black in America because you got the worst case situation. And it's everybody has that coming to Jesus moment where to me, I'm like, I can't believe that you're standing here being the face of white nationalism because everybody knows and sees where Elon Musk is doing a Heil Hitler, a Sieg Heil in front of everybody, not once, but twice. And for people to sit there and to say that it didn't happen, especially to come from your camp, I find it very off-putting that you, who I believe identifies as Afro-Cuban?
I identify as Cuban, yes.
As Cuban.
I have African
not
roots.
Afro. So you don't
I have, no, I'm just saying when you ask a Cuban, if they're Cuban, they say Cuban. The Afro-Cuban thing is a white thing that people add to the Cuban.
I don't think that's true at all. I think that's more so if you guys got dropped off first. That's all it is, coming to America.
I mean, the Cuban
when there's
community
things
would
that you look at.
if you had a Cuban here, they wouldn't go, I'm not Afro-Cuban, I'm just Cuban.
Well, there is a movement of Afro-Cuban, but I thought it was interesting because it was more so of a left ideology. It was more so of reaching out for indigenous people. So, I mean, there is an idea behind it of why there's that blackness, that proud idea. But if you're Cuban and that's it, that's how you identify. I mean, more power to you. It's one of those things that I really look at where I'm trying to better understand the situation of how you could be radicalized from getting in trouble from selling, medical devices and getting caught with the FBI, becoming an informant, to then here we are running the Proud Boys, which had this distaste in its mouth of being a white supremacy, a white nationalist. I mean, when you're seeing these Nazis show up in Ohio, there's a company, but there is a militia.
Nazis showing up in Ohio.
You would have to look it up because in Lincoln Heights, they were sitting there on the freeway. And it took a lot of
the ones with the red flag with the black swastika thing,
or black flag with a red swastika, yes,
or some shit like
with
that.
With a U-Haul that the police were helping. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I think they're called like Blood Tribe. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they're all over my page.
I could only tell you that they ran like little bitches when people threw cans of corn.
They're almost all over my page as much as Ryan is.
In solidarity or against you?
Against me.
But they still,
and that actually makes me happy. Yeah, I mean, I'm pissing off the right people if I'm pissing off Ryan, and I'm pissing off the Nazis.
I mean, dude, I was on your page for one day, like that one interaction that led to this.
Actually, you weren't on my page for one day because I only had Twitter. You actually have multiple tweets about me throughout the years. I didn't know who.
I made tweets about you, but I wasn't on your page. I was making tweets.
I didn't
about
have a page, or else you would have been.
Well, exactly. So you just said I was on your. See, you try to get these little jabs in, and you end up making yourself look like.
It's a pretty good job. I mean, I got.
No, it really wasn't. It's pretty fucking stupid when you really look at it.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, I used to post about you all the time because I posted about all the stupid shit you did, and then you saw that those posts went viral, and then you took it and tried to get some publicity off of it. Tried to say that I would hide in an elevator from you.
You have 130,000 followers in your entire.
Yeah. Actually, more than that. If you count all my platforms, it's more like 400,000. But
well, who's counting, right? I mean,
you are clearly because you made a post about it.
I'm just.
I mean, I know nobody came here to see both of you measure dicks on this show.
Oh man,
who has more fans? But the reality is, and you guys can go at it, and I can step back. But the reality is, I definitely want to get to a bottom of a couple things.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's actually issues happening in America. my point of what I was saying to you about you actually bringing people together.
Yes.
I'm not only in a way offended, but I'm also heartbroken at the fact that you could bring that many people together, but yet you couldn't have them come together in a way where you could actually make this world a better place. And I mean that because I don't put any politician on a pedestal.
I don't either.
January 6th says something different.
By far is not a perfect person.
But see, I don't care about perfect person. You brought that many people together for January 6th to stop a steal that you guys so to your core believe. And I'm not here to litigate that. It is what it is. You were found guilty. You got out from a pardon. This is where we are in present day.
Yeah.
But the part that I look at is that we have all these school shootings. How far are you from Parkland school shooting? In Miami?
I'm actually not too far. I'm about 30 minutes.
Why the fuck are you not bringing the Proud Boys to actually protect kids in schools versus trying to storm a Capitol is where I am more so.
Kids in schools, because we've done that before multiple times.
How is that not your base? How is it that Lincoln Heights Safety is literally walking around in Ohio making sure that no clown with a swastika shows up again? This is the part where I really look at somebody that may have the talent that you do have to bring people together, but you fumble it on the dumbest ideology. I don't care how you view Trump. I don't care. I don't care what his personality is, what the fuck his traits are, none of that.
So what's
the fact that you literally, the question is how you guys cannot sit and mobilize to actually put that towards stopping school shootings. Well, you guys cosplay as militia. You cosplay as veterans.
Okay, so hold on. So first and foremost, I'm pretty sure that like a citizen group isn't going to sit there all day and protect schools, right? Law
Take
enforcement
shifts. We're seeing it right now in Ohio. They're doing it as we speak.
They're sitting there protecting them from Nazi flags, and by all means,
no, they're walking them to school. Whatever. They're protecting them in all fronts. They're making sure that
those are things that we've done, and we do it. We actually do it at a different level. We do it at the school board level, and as a matter of fact, we've done it here. We've changed the entire school board.
That's called Moms for Liberty, and that's not you.
And super majority. Can you take a look at where Moms for Liberty were down here and who was protecting them and who was speaking at the Miami-Dade School Board? Because I've spoken at it twice.
Moms for Liberty are a offshoot abortion of what the Sisters of the Confederacy are, and they are not good for this country.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. But if you're asking me what I feel is good and what you feel is good, it's obviously two different things. So obviously, I'm going to focus on what I feel is going to change the country, and we have made change. So the difference is that in the city that I live in, right, we've changed the city council, we've changed the mayor, and we're about to change them again. We have changed the school board, and we have a supermajority in every aspect of government here in the city of Miami that is predominantly Latin, predominantly Cuban, actually probably one of the most Latino big cities in America. So yes, we disagree with what we should stand for, but to say that we're not doing it is an outright lie. We're doing it. You don't agree with what we're doing.
No. It's not agreeing or disagreeing with that. I'm not seeing you guys on the ground
are bad. I think everybody across the board, everybody in here, including on that chat on the right, can agree that school shootings aren't good. Now we disagree on what the problem is. It's not gun legislation, and it's not the type of gun. You want me to tell you? And I haven't brought up new statistics, but I'll bring up an older statistic right now. And at the time, I would say this: there was, I think it was 2020. There was 27 mass shootings. You know what 25 of them had in common? Fatherless homes.
There were like 700 mass shootings that year.
I'm talking about the 27 past.
Yeah, just the ones that apply to your agenda, but you're overlooking the other 550.
I mean, you want to take a look at it? Can you pull up the statistics? Pull that up, please.
Can you show us the video?
I will show you the statistics right now. I have it right here in front of me.
No, so can you show us the video that you said you had that the woman calling you? Yes, you did.
Oh, what video? Go ahead.
Everybody in the comments is asking for that video you said you had. I mean, if we got time to pull stuff up, that's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah, I'll take it for it. You got it? Okay. I'll have him look for the video right now. It's give me a second.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on to the Ashli Babbitt stuff.
You still hear me right now?
And let's go ahead and take a look at this because you and I disagree on Ashli Babbitt. I think she got what she had coming to her that day, and you don't. So I want to take a look at the videos so that we can all have an educated discussion about what went down.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that cuts right before he pulls the trigger. I don't know if you heard how many times they said, oh, look, a gun, or how long he was standing there pointing it at the window as they're beating it in after they had barricaded it with furniture, as Congress was literally leaving the chamber right behind him, might I add. So my question to you is, how do you watch that video and somehow think Ashli Babbitt that Michael Byrd wasn't doing his job that day?
I'm going to tell you very simple. If you're advocating for the shooting of an unarmed 120-pound woman with no firearms, no weapons in her hand, and then you go ahead and you call out other police shootings, because I could say, hey, look, these police shootings are wrong right when I see them without a problem. Then you have a problem with
false equivalencies, though.
It's not. Did she have a weapon in her hand?
Well, let's watch this next part. Let's watch this.
Go! Bust it down!
Let me ask.
As you can see there, she has this stuffed red backpack on. Now, you did security for the DOD for 12 years. So when you're doing threat identification like we do in the military, I'm just wondering, what would you identify that as? What's that?
You had the video still on the screen.
So what would you identify that overstuffed backpack as in a threat assessment?
In a threat assessment, I would see that she's a 120-pound woman.
Bullshit.
It doesn't deserve to get shot in the neck.
Bullshit. It was in her shoulder, by the way.
It's not bullshit, dude. Like,
it is bullshit.
How do you advocate for, like, that's fine. Look, I could tell you, if you could show me a police shooting, I could tell you, hey, this was wrong. That was wrong. Right? When you go ahead, and the only reason that you're advocating for,
you're claiming that she's unarmed. You don't know that she was unarmed.
And you know what? You're in your right to do so. I believe in free speech. The only reason that you're advocating for her death and her murder is because she's a Trump supporter. It's not because of anything else.
I think she's a dumb fuck for being a Trump supporter, but she's also a veteran that took an oath to defend this country against enemies, foreign and domestic, and showing up on January 6th and storming the Capitol.
Guys, but everybody can hear either one of you.
See, that's the thing. He just keeps talking, and then he's going to say, oh, all this bullshit. I didn't talk this whole fucking time. I let you talk for 30 fucking minutes, motherfucker, and I didn't say a goddamn thing, so shut the fuck up.
You don't have to.
So here's
exactly. He wants to say that I'm fucking triggered, but that's the problem. He wants to come on here and just talk over me. So fuck him. I put him off. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say what I want to say, and then he can come back on and say what he wants to say. So I let you talk for 30 fucking minutes, and I let Ian take care of the show. And now I come up here, I show you a video, and you start talking circles and talking around me, but you can't answer a very simple question. And that is, as a DOD security person, if you were doing a threat assessment at that moment in time, and you were defending the entirety of Congress from a mass of people standing behind, all bashing windows in to try to come in, your threat assessment at that moment in time would be that that's a possible threat. You don't know what weapons are in that backpack. You have no idea. So you have to act in that moment on that premise. And by the way, for those who actually care, I'm not trying to start a call on like this motherfucker. So there's actually documents on Congress. They've done a whole investigation into this and cleared Michael Byrd. It's extremely detailed and telling you exactly why Ashli Babbitt got what the fuck she deserved.
This was the nicest Ryan rant I've ever heard. I'm just going to say it. This was the nicest one.
Now you can go.
It's the nicest one.
Tarrio. So here's my question.
Hold on. I want to hit at least the last point that you said right there. So let's say the Trump administration were to start an investigation into Michael Byrd would and arrest him and indict him and put him in chains, would you be like, oh, okay, well now, right?
No,
now
I wouldn't.
okay.
And I'll tell you why,
Because obviously.
No, I wouldn't.
And then
I'll
another thing that I find funny as shit, if I were to ever have you on my show, I would never mute you or take you off, no matter how much you talked. Because
well, that's you. That's not me. So I really don't give a fuck. But going back to the other thing,
so
when they're trying to impeach, hang on, let me respond to that.
Both of you.
When they're talking about impeaching judges that aren't following Trump's agenda, and you have to have somebody on the Supreme Court that is a Republican come out and say that no, we can't do that. That's not the right way. So then you want me to agree with the decision that particular person would make when he's trying to impeach the same judges that are supposed to protect us from him?
See, that's exactly, we'll go back to what this gentleman said over here. It's who's in power that has that power, that investigative power, that judicial power, the executive branch.
That has nothing to do with what I just said, Enrique.
Oh, yes, it does.
No,
yes, it does. I sat here and I told you that whoever's in power uses those levers in the direction that they want. And then you just said, oh, well, you know what? There was an entire investigation about what happened with Michael Burke.
In Congress.
The Biden administration.
Which, of course, you're not going to abide. You're not going to pay attention to simply because who was in power at the time. But Biden wasn't trying to impeach judges.
I just want to confirm.
Go ahead.
Someone breaks into your house to Tarrio. You're not pulling the trigger. You're not using your Second Amendment right. You're not going to do this thing where you don't know what this person has, regardless of her weight, 100 and something plus or whatever.
So
I just think it's a very weak argument that you're making.
So the property rights and the right and what a police officer does, right, are two different things. If somebody were to tread on my property, not a government building, not with a police officer that has a code to go by, then it's completely different. Here in Florida, there's a law called Stand Your Ground.
Stand Your Ground. I know it very well. You guys took out Trayvon Martin because you guys are punk ass bitches. But without that said, you had a security guard, regardless of whatever his stature is, whatever his position was, who was literally protecting actual congressmen and women behind the other doors. And his job was
to shoot a 120-pound woman?
Hey, if that's the one who wanted to be brave that day, apparently it was. And maybe she's the one who got the worst sentence out of all of you. She got life. And the reality is, and she died the way that she lived, an idiot. Because when you look at the situation, you have a man pointing a gun at you. Why would you want to move forward? You clearly are past the barricades outside. You're clearly past the bear spraying of beating up police. You're clearly now walking through those sections, which I agree with you. At a certain point, they did let you in. But at that door, they were not letting you in. And you were in a hotel because of your situation. And these people were there. And you're only speaking as a person who is an audience member like us, because you were not there to see the actual situation. So I know your talking point. I know that you're saying that we wouldn't do it, or we're only going to choose that because she is a Trump supporter. That's incorrect. We saw somebody there that was literally trying to force their way through a barricade door, and she got what she got because she did not follow commands. All you guys ever say is, if you would have just listened to what the police officers' instructions are, plain and simple. It's one of those things where he did not know what she had, and his job was, do not let anybody pass this door. Now, at a certain point, when the coast was clear because all the congressmen got out, you guys always leave that part out of it. All the congressmen, especially the ones that were running, the Republicans who wanted to act brave in front of you guys while they were walking by with all the security, but then the moment they heard you guys breached, they were running like little bitches in there. The reality was, you had people like Nancy Pelosi who just got to shuffle through the hole where she had to go, and they were told, do not let anybody pass this line. If that was your job, I only see him as doing his job, regardless of whoever it was. But you can also agree, they were very understaffed. And it makes me think one thing, plain and simple, because I've heard your family members on news talk about this. I believe it was your mom who said that you were set up. You were the scapegoat. Do you believe your mom on that one? Do you think you were the scapegoat?
I am 100% believer on that one, because that's what I've been preaching for a long time.
Why were you the scapegoat?
Look, I want to touch on that subject just on a quick note. We're never going to agree here on Ashli Babbitt. It's cool to debate it. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to advocate for shooting 120-pound unarmed woman. So we could sit here and we can argue for this for like 2 hours.
Is it the only time that the right cares about a woman's body? Is that the only time? Is that the only time that Republicans care about a woman's body?
Is that the only time that
Republicans
we can go back when Democrats want to murder
babies
of
I'm
color?
just saying. It's the only laws that I've been hearing so far, or the only talking points about a woman.
We could get into this, but you asked me a question about the scapegoat thing, and yes. I was made a scapegoat. At the time, they didn't know how to prosecute President Trump, and they needed to make the biggest splash, the biggest PR that they could. And I was a leader of a group called the Proud Boys. I wasn't there. I didn't have access to my phone. So I didn't plan, and I'm telling you right now, I'm pardoned. So right now, if I say, you know what, I plan to storm this shit, I plan to overthrow the government, you know what, I would face no consequences because I'm pardoned.
Double jeopardy. Right.
So,
you're all set.
So they can't.
Well, is it hand signed or was it auto penned?
Ooh, if it's auto pen, you might be in trouble.
Because
you
you
might be in trouble.
1,500 of them.
You might be right about that.
Terrio,
auto pens.
I actually am. If you go, by the way, again, I'm not trying to start a cult, people. Unlike some of these other folks, go Google it or use Chat GPT. Donald Trump used auto pen to sign the 1,500 pardon. So Enrique's pardon here under Donald Trump's current policy, his pardon is probably revoked.
So
Terrio, I really want to ask you, is this living rent free in your head right now?
How
is it a falsehood? You're trying to revoke Biden's pardons.
Let me tell you something. There wasn't 1,500 pardons. There was one. There was only one pardon for 1,500 people. It only required one signature. If you
they just put it all on one page.
You know Trump can't read. Of course he did just one. We already know. We already know.
You know when he pardoned Roger Stone and his son-in-law's father, who's now
Donald Trump is going to sign
person in France.
Even though he has the energy to.
No, he does not have the energy. This old fuck does not have the energy. Please stop, Terrio. I've listened to a lot of your bullshit today. That's not going to be.
Honestly,
you already laughing. Hold on, no, bring him back. Bring him back. You are not going to laugh. Hold on, bring him back. You are not. You are not.
Oh, I got his little sign to you and everything.
Look, Terrio, you're not going to just laugh that shit. You don't even believe your own bullshit, man. Look at you. And I appreciate you for laughing. I appreciate you for laughing at your own shit.
Do me a favor. Look, so we could do this. Screen share what the pardons look like. I'll send you a link, right? Granting pardons and commutations. You could get it right on the White House website. It's only 2 pages. He only had to sign once. So you just said that he auto penned 1,500 and it's actually 1,600 pardons. That's a falsehood.
It's not,
you said, oh, you can Google it. You didn't even Google it.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you know what? You're a pardoned piece of shit criminal, so I really don't give a fuck.
At least thank you. You said you
know what, dude? Have a nice day. You're as big a piece of shit as I thought you'd be. Thank you.
Here's my biggest thing, because this is you're literally trying to nitpick on something where it's like,
I'm not.
You are though. Come on, Terrio. I see you trying to egg him on, and I get it. This is your job. Right. It's your Wednesday night.
I admit,
this is your hump day. I get it. So just calling out the bullshit. Here's my thing. Is it living rent free right now in your head that another administration could come in here and they could pull this same stunt and lock you into a whole bunch of legal bullshit? Yes. Where you literally will have to fight for your life in the court system, which will drown you financially. And it will put you in a situation, regardless if you see another jail cell, you will be in and out of courts for a long time.
Yes, if another administration comes in, it flip-flops. So we could agree that the problem is that there's too many laws in this country. There's too many laws to put people in chains and too many laws to put people in concrete coffins. So, I don't get the face right now.
My brother,
I don't get
about slavery.
I'm advocating for criminal justice reform, and you guys are giving me a face. I'm telling you that there's too many people locked up for either crap that they didn't do, or there's too many people locked up, right, for the justice system that just keeps them there.
Okay,
I just don't know if
the justice system that they should. They're there for re-entry, simply crossing the border, right? Crossing the border. And I vibe with crossing the border.
Breaking the law. Crossing the border is not breaking the law.
They didn't commit any crime, and they're sitting there for 5 years.
So let me ask you a question then.
Just deport them.
So let me ask you a question then.
Deport them instantly. Why are we keeping them?
Can you shut the fuck up for a second and let me ask you a goddamn question?
Go ahead. I know that you like talking.
Me? I haven't talked fucking at all.
Ryan, ask a question, man. Ryan, ask a question.
Keep going, man.
No, I'm good.
Oh,
you good, bro?
Oh,
no, we're not good. So Ryan,
who's the faggot in the background?
He's
okay. Time out.
He's my guy on the desk.
No, come on. Have him show his face. Come on around.
You guys,
is he wearing sunglasses like you?
I'm looking at two grown men, and clearly the gay ghost in the back. Whatever the case is, I really want to say to you guys,
hey, you guys shouldn't use gay as an insult.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've only done it 5 times in this episode.
I mean,
you guys, here's the biggest thing. I'm looking at that you really did do the song and dance throughout most of the show. And I know that you really wanted to egg Ryan on. I know you did. Don't act brand new. Don't act brand new. I could see through the bullshit. Yeah, but the biggest thing is that I look at this is that when I look at your situation, your resume,
yes,
you went from an FBI informant to now a pardoned seditious conspirator.
Yes.
What's Tarrio 2.0 looking like? Because you literally gave your body for this and you got left out by the orange fat fuck. And I'm not trying to be JD Vance.
Pardon me.
I'm not trying to be the bitches, JD and Trump, and double team you. We're not going to make you look as dope as Vladimir. But the thing is that I look at this and I look at your situation. What is 2.0 you moving forward?
You're going to see a more aggressive me. You're going to see somebody that's going to use the system to get those that put in power, that put us in chains and put us in a concrete coffin. And I am going to advocate for each one of them for the same thing to happen. And the fact that I could still tell you that the problem is that you can put somebody in prison for anything. So I am going to use that system and I am going to weaponize it. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use this brand new bullhorn that was given to me to do that. Because when you do what you did to me and you do what you did to my family, I don't
no self-reflection of that. It may be because of some of your consequences. Like
there's no forgiveness on that. So I'm going to advocate to put those.
You have your own revenge story, is what you're saying. You have your own retribution that you're going after.
That is correct.
Okay.
I want to be clear. I'm not asking for violent retribution. I'm going to use the system.
Right now, your resume says otherwise. Just saying.
I mean, the fact that you just grabbed a woman's cell phone and threw it the other day, getting physical, proves that you're a lying piece of shit. So look forward to that. As somebody that just got a pardon, I don't know why you're so hell bent on going back to prison so fucking fast.
And they dropped the case today, by the way. Since you want to.
Here's my question for you. You claim to be like the fall guy. Let me ask you this: how many times have you been to jail or prison?
I've been to jail. I was a troubled little kid. The first time I went to jail.
Just answer the question. How many times have you been to jail?
I was throwing tear gas at police officers in 1999 as a 14-year-old.
Okay.
I stole a shit ton of motorcycles and cars when I was in my late teens.
Okay.
I got my shit together. Right. I started doing security. Then I started contracting as a security contractor for the DOD.
You committed fraud.
I admitted it to the judge that yes, I did.
Okay.
Listen, I'm completely open about all this. So yes, I screwed up again in 2013, right? And I sold diabetic test strips without a license. That's what started the whole thing. When I burned that BLM banner and I found out it came from a church, right? I sat in front of the judge and I said, yes, I did it.
You did.
And I had no problem doing that. So when they came and they got me for sedition, I did the right thing and I went to trial because I was innocent of those charges. Now, if celebrating the events of January 6th was a crime, which it's not, then I'd be guilty of that. But I am not guilty of attempting to overthrow the U.S. government by force. It just didn't happen.
They didn't have any text messages between you and anybody else organizing anything that had to do with January 6th?
How was it that you were
organizing for January 6th? Yes, but not to riot. That wasn't a thing that was.
How is it that you were tweeting during it? Do what we must be done, do it again, and then at the very end, make no mistake, we did this. How is it that you, when you did not have a phone, do that?
So as soon as I saw what was happening at the Capitol, I crossed the street to 7-Eleven and I grabbed one of those
a burner
phones, one of those Go phones because I didn't have a phone, and I connected it to the Wi-Fi because I didn't even have a credit card at the time. I just had some cash that they gave to me, and I went and I bought it, and I didn't even have a chance to activate it. So I got on there, I signed on to my Parler account, and yes, I said, do what must be done. I was cheering on my team.
Do you have any relationship with Jeannie Thomas or Roger Stone?
With Roger Stone, with Jeannie Thomas, I'm not sure who that is.
That's the Supreme Court Justice's wife.
No, I have no contact with her at all.
Now, they both were doing the same exact thing as you. They were bringing people together. Jeannie Thomas was literally funding buses, loads of people to January 6th. I'm a little shocked that you don't know the power players that are literally on your team who believed in Stop the Steal. Yeah. She was right there. She was. I
didn't remember. To be honest, I didn't remember the name. That's about it.
Okay.
Now that you told me who she is, I remember. I know who she is.
Yeah, just,
but I had no contact with her, regardless.
The biggest thing that I really wonder is because when you say you're a scapegoat, and you do play a victim really well, but when you say you're a scapegoat, I look at this and I really wonder, why is it that they did not face the same consequences? Maybe it is bank account, maybe it's their connections, but I'm really trying to understand how you were thrown to the wolves, and then even now with this Trump, 2.0, with his own little redemption story, is there any view of you being in his administration at all?
Okay, so wait, let me answer the first part of that question. They were definitely gunning for both of them. I think that what stopped them from arresting Roger Stone and Ginny Thomas at the time is probably Trump winning in November.
No, that's not true.
No, it's 100%.
She was brought in for questioning and she was let go.
Ginny Thomas thing, I could tell you for Roger Stone, they were definitely gunning for. I know from personal experience that they were gunning for him. And I think that what stopped them was the election of Donald J. Trump. And then what was the second part of the question?
You being thrown to the wolves and you being left out of the Trump administration. Is there any movement with you joining the Trump administration?
There's absolutely no movement with me joining the Trump administration. I mean, you might see, this won't be the show that I'll say it on, but you might see me somewhere in the political spectrum in some type of office at some point soon.
Local government, or would you want to go for national?
I'll keep that off the record right now.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your transparency on that.
Yeah. So because the only way to enact change is from within, and that's I've been teaching the guys that's why we took over, and this you can Google. That's why we took over the local Miami REC, the Republican Executive Committee. That's why people that think like us and friends of ours have taken over the local school board. That's why you're going to see the mayor seat change now in December. And I think Florida is the blueprint of what we should do across the country. And I think that getting involved, and I advocate for people on my side that are watching this, knock on doors for your local politician, get involved. And if you think that you can run, it's very easy to win.
With ICE making a lot of mistakes right now with grabbing Americans and doing a couple of things, do you actually walk around a little more cautious that you might get picked up?
Well, for one, I'm a U.S. citizen.
That means nothing right now with what we're seeing.
That's bluster.
No, they've grabbed a couple. They grabbed a mother who was a U.S. citizen. They grabbed a couple people who are Puerto Rican. They grabbed anybody who spoke Spanish out in public. I'm only asking. I'm not looking at a gotcha question. I'm actually asking you a serious question.
I think ICE is doing a fantabulous job. I think actually, you know what? I'm not going to say they're doing a fantabulous.
They just wasted 16 million.
Yeah, and I think that right now, I think our numbers are immigration. How are immigration numbers right now? Lowest in decades right now. I don't think that they're deporting enough. I think that they have to ramp those numbers up. I think right now, DHS and Mr. Holman they're doing a pretty good job. I think that
the borders are. I find it really interesting because we've wasted so much money with all of the stunts that have been used with the military flights, which they have to now cancel because clearly it got out of hand budget wise. High numbers.
Well, we could do it.
Clearly, Doge is not doing its part. The stunt is over, and now they went back to what ICE is normally doing and doing those flights. But with that said, have you spent some time now that you've been out for this long to look at any media to start digesting what policies are actually being implemented? Because I'm just trying to better understand what you're fighting for.
I'm starting to dive into it a little bit more. Again, I've been focused on family for the past 2 months, not really media.
I can respect that.
Building my shop back up, my podcast that's coming in. So maybe Ryan would be nice enough to have me on again, and we could discuss policy.
That's probably not happening.
Yeah, it's probably not happening. I agree. Ryan, don't you want to come on my show, bro? We'll have you in studio.
Honestly, I didn't think you'd be so full of shit, honestly.
And there's no elevators for you to run to here.
Oh, good one, buddy. Yeah, good one, buddy. Like I said,
I know everybody wants the Skeets to go at it.
You spent the whole episode trying to egg me on, which is fine. You know, it works well because part of my show is Ryan Rants, where I cuss and I lose my shit. So it plays into my show's brand as it is. Well, you know, I must be because I got a hell of a lot bigger following than you. So with that, I'm not really surprised you spent the whole episode basically talking around everything. You wouldn't really answer any direct questions. You tried to explain things away with things that weren't really relevant. So yeah, it's kind of turned into what I thought it would be. So you got anything, Ian?
No, I have to say my my highlight was learning more about the musical. Of what the Proud Boys are.
It was, I mean, Aladdin is a great. I'm a fan of musicals. I think Into the Woods is probably the best musical ever made. But the Aladdin musical is pretty good too.
Okay, great.
It's one of those that
thanks
you
for
really
joining the show, man. We're done talking about that. So, fuck.
Well, Ryan,
that
you
was,
wanted it.
I did, and fucking Christ.
You wanted it.
So there you have it. That was the show. I think you can probably understand my frustration and anger. I don't think he deserved the amount of time that we gave him. But hats off to Ian. He handled him like a pro, and it was a privilege to sit there and watch him dismantle every talking point as I, ranted, as I do. As always, much love, keep fighting, and make sure you go watch The Response.